Hi, this is Matt with the Intergalactic Herald. Welcome to my Star Atlas Week in Review podcast. This is podcast number 125. Any articles or videos mentioned can be found on my website at intergalacticherald.com. Just to look for weekly news recap newsletter 173. So just a quick summary of things to go over today. Beyond the Horizon has started and seems like maybe halfway through a new video series on C4 topics. AFIA published their newsletter and had an interesting quote from Michael Wagner on the Star Atlas Telegram channel. And then this past week, the Atlas Brew happened, and there was some announcements and some information on Holocim. But before I get to that, just wanted to give you a quick summary of things I'm working on. Again, just wanted to always mention that you can check out my website, intergalacticherald.com, for a lot of great Star Atlas resources, including a beginner's guide, directories to a number of different Star Atlas groups like builders and merch stores and guilds and things like that. Of course, there is this recap, or this podcast, plus the weekly news recap, and then I do have some audio AI summaries of the community teams, and then most recently I've introduced a new newsletter which will send you the announcements that come out in the Star Atlas Discord. So you can find all of those on my website at intergalacticherald.com. Also want to mention my Star Atlas merch store, Intergalactic Gear, found at intergalacticgear.com. Open for business, just a few items. It's been on the lower priority of my Star Atlas task, but you can definitely check that out. I also have a merch survey, so I'd love to get any feedback on merch you'd be interested in. And then lastly, I am slowly hoping to start a Star Atlas gamer community. This is going to be a little different in the sense that it's not going to use Discord, so it's going to be more about discussions, and you can get email updates when people have posted, so it's not just a chat-based thing. You can check that out at intergalacticcoalition.com, see if that's of interest to you, and there is an interest survey there I'd love to have you fill out. So anyways, to get into the content section, things I did mention occurred this past week. Beyond the Horizon has been started. He had an introduction, I think, a week ago, and then he's come out with individual videos going through the upcoming C4 update. For those who aren't familiar, C4 is short for 4 items that are coming: combat, council rank, claim stakes, and crafting habs. Beyond the Horizon actually made the point that it almost could be C5 because of ship components. So he's produced 3 videos so far. One is going over regions, borderlines, and warplanes, so talking about the different map. He did a video on combat, which actually was really good. It made me think a little differently about how that will be. And then this most recent one was on the ship components. So if you want to check those out, do check out, I have links in my weekly recap newsletter, but you can also go directly to YouTube and search for Beyond the Horizon and check those out. This past week, AFIA continues their consistent publishing of their weekly Star Atlas newsletter. But one thing that they pulled out, and I have to admit, I think I vaguely remembered there was something, but Star Atlas has a Telegram channel, not really sure, not really into Telegram. Star Atlas has lots of accounts. Some of them aren't as actively used as in the past, such as their Facebook page or their Instagram account. They predominantly seem to be on Twitter and Discord, obviously. But there was a Telegram account, so I decided to check that out because they quoted something Mike Wagner, the CEO, posted there. And it was talking about, I'll eventually just read it, but it was talking about, I'm not sure what it was talking about because whatever the message that he was replying to had been deleted. So I don't know what the original question was, but I kind of, based on the answer, think it may have something to do with selling tokens or something. Basically, I was just going to read it as is because I actually found it really interesting, something I wanted to talk about in my kind of State of Star Atlas. Or actually, on second thought, I'll read it when I give my comments. So I know, teasing, but anyways, that was interesting. And then the big community event this past week, regular community event anyways, was the Atlas Brew. And this one was much more of a, let's see, what was the topic? Actually, they had a topic. Felt like kind of 50-50. Brainstorming proposals for the DAO pips. So, as they usually do at the beginning, they have noteworthy news. And one was reconfirming the tweet that went out from Mike Wagner of an announcement of announcement. Pretty sure this goes back to some insider joke meme type of thing from years ago. But anyways, apparently there's an announcement coming. And the other thing I found interesting, they did indirectly talk a little bit about Holocim, and they noted it was nearing the end of the test, which is actually interesting because they always did say this was just the initial one, and then they would move it into more seasons and things like that. They also noted that there's been great retention rate for people playing. Hopefully we'll get some of that information pulled out through the economic team. But again, it was still great to hear those two things. One, test was good. They've been making a lot of changes, ready to move to the next step, and that people are playing are enjoying it. As I've mentioned, I haven't really got into it, and partly because it was a test, but two, I am enjoying what I'm doing in Sage. And if you've been following along, I'm trying to get a Mamba X and just the supply chain and things like that. I think my sense is Holocene is a little more dynamic with the combat, which of course we don't have in Sage yet. Yeah, again, to each his own, and I'm always happy that there's multiple products, just like there's the shooter and the racing and things like that in the UE5 version. So anyway, those were the big takeaways. Kind of jump right ahead into that state of Star Atlas, because I was mentioning again the Telegram message. But again, before I get to that, I guess I had written in reverse order here. So I just wanted to comment on this announcement. And just like, 426, there are just certain memes within the Star Atlas community, and that's perfectly fine. And if truly the announcement is something that is coming out next week, or in this case, if you're hearing this is Sunday night, could be coming out in the next few days. So again, it's fine. Again, if it's a short wait, no problem, doesn't really matter. But it does freeze everything now that there needs to be something announced and moving on. But I do remember it was mentioned, I think at the town hall and an interview that came out just before that something big, quotes around big, was supposed to be coming out in July. And of course, it's literally almost the middle of July. So again, in some senses, all this just fits, but I don't know, just announce it. But that's just me, my personality. Anyways, whatever. We'll see what happens this upcoming week. But anyway, so now getting back to that Telegram thing. So again, I mentioned I had to create an account. I'm still not sure I figured out how to follow I don't know what they're even called, chats or groups or whatever. And again, like I said, unfortunately, the original message was deleted, but now I've been teasing it. So let me go ahead and just read Michael Wagner's reply to this deleted thing. He said, "I'm not sure if people fully comprehend this, but ensuring the studio is solvent is my number one priority. Without, I always forget how to say the name, ATMTA. I just blanking on how to say that. Automatic. I don't know. Sorry. Every asset in the ecosystem is worthless. We have a number of core revenue streams, including asset sales, marketplace fee revenue, Tensor Crew revenue, etc. But revenues market-wide are down to non-existent. Given we are facing major macro forces at play that are out of our control, we need to manage cash flows from systems that we do control. I don't have any desire to sell tokens at these levels, but they are necessary to ensure we are here for the true alt bull cycle. And as we emerge from that, given the rapid maturity of our product, I have confidence we can decouple from crypto correlations being a driver for revenue and can achieve success with a mainstream audience. We need to get there, and all the actions we take as a team ensure we will. Fundamentally, we have many great tokenomic mechanisms that ultimately encourage acquiring, holding, and staking, parentheses, saving the tokens. With many more features still to come as we continue to develop, I believe these will be major catalysts for token appreciation over time, but again, we need to be around to see them materialize. Okay, so again, not knowing what the question is, I'm making a ton of inferences from the answer, but I'm assuming it has something to do with why does the team on a regular basis sell their tokens, and if token prices are down, they're obviously getting less for their tokens, but they need the tokens to ensure this studio is solvent, i.e. pay for salaries and expenses and outsource people and things like that. And he did mention they do have ways to gain the token. So it's not just selling what they have, they're really selling what they're earning. Because again, with asset sales, marketplace fees, and Tensor Crew revenue, again, I wish the person had just left their question up and asked it, why I delete it. But anyways, so I think but there's a lot of interesting parts in here. And the number one, I think, is, and I don't know, maybe it's so easy to forget sometimes, but Star Atlas is a business, and they are definitely doing what they want to do, build a game they want, things like that. But at the end of the day, it's a business, and a business needs to run on revenues and expenses, profit, loss, all that good stuff. So if their only way to make money is selling the token, however they acquire the token, either previous or whatever, it makes perfect sense. What I think is part of, again, the question was that, and again, I'm not really up on crypto, and I don't understand this, but it seems like if anyone is selling the token, it drives the price down. again, if you've listened to me before, I don't get it. I don't get the stock market. I don't get why prices go up, go down, crypto markets, stock markets, whatever. Again, somebody could explain to me, it still doesn't make sense because I don't know what you're exchanging for one item to another. When you go out and work for somebody, you agree upon a fee, they pay you money because that's an easy transfer of value, and you give a service. Makes perfect sense. You buy a product, same thing. So again, there's a lot in there, but again, the things I took away was that it's really nice and necessary to hear that the person in charge, the CEO, is worried about making sure that the company will be around to see everything they built materialize when no longer do they have to rely upon crypto correlation being the driver for revenues. And secondarily, the idea that, again, ultimately they're going to need a mainstream audience because they need more people, and the mainstream audience, in my opinion, is gamers, not necessarily crypto people, but hey, they can come along too. But the person who just wants to play a fun game, maybe have the new dynamic of owning their assets and being able to sell their assets, unlike traditional games. This is the unique selling proposition. It does all make sense. So again, I really appreciate, but I guess multiple channels, so it doesn't really matter because where it's written, and it means it's what the team and the CEO and hopefully the founders all are trying to move forward to. And dovetailing back to that wholesome kind of things, I think it is showing that whether it's not been firmly communicated, even if it did change, that the focus is definitely now on producing a mainstream game that just happens to have the Web3 crypto fundamentals. But that audience is not going to move forward. And maybe, again, this goes back to his comment, true alt bull season. And cycle, And yeah, that's all great. NFTs and Bitcoin and all that. But if you're building ultimately a video game that can survive independent of all that, because people, in my opinion, like entertainment, and video games are entertainment. So again, we'll just still have to be patient. We haven't heard anything in a long time about cash flow or burn rate or any of those kind of things, runway. But again, people are still doing things. They're generating those things that he mentioned, which was, again, asset sales, marketplace revenue, Tensor Crew revenue. So that's great. They're bringing something in. The downside is that apparently that has to be converted into real resources so you can pay salaries and things like that. And so that might have a net downward push onto the token. Again, I don't understand all that, but I guess it goes down. Whatever. Sorry. Again, just not my strong suit. So anyway, so again, we'll see. Again, there's announcement. Products are definitely moving forward. Wholesome, the next version of UE5 for gameplay modes, and they mentioned new spectator mode for esports. Obviously, Sage is getting a whole bunch of incredible updates with C4. Again, still need to be patient, but as has been mentioned a couple of times, maybe this is finally the year. So we'll see. Hopefully, if I do another end of the year summary with Beyond the Horizon. Ironically, when we did the last one, it was noted that he mentioned that summer was a let down. So hopefully this one isn't the same, but it ended on a positive note. So let's try for a positive middle of the summer. So anyways, okay, that's all I had on kind of the state of Star Atlas. Go ahead and finish up with kind of my journey playing. Again, people following along, playing Sage, trying to craft mine all the resources to be able to craft a Mamba X. And as I wrote this on Friday night, I was almost done moving Diamond. However, I am now officially done moving all my Diamond back. I was short like 17,000, and so I decided just to not send the fleet back out, just to grab that and just sell it at the local market. So anyway, so I moved the fleet back and stopped transporting Diamond because I got everything back. I had ran out of fuel and even hydrogen from a previous stockpile, so have the fleet just sitting at the Central Space Station mining hydrogen, and it does it really fast. So again, back to that difference in hardness. My little Armstrong tip-tap whatever guy has been working on titanium ore, and it's almost halfway done of that one, so that's cool. And just in a new holding pattern, getting a good stockpile of hydrogen, so then I think I'll send that fleet over to help on the mining of the titanium and start bringing that one back. Actually, no, wait. Guess would I mine or would I move out? I don't know. I haven't thought about it. I was just happy to be done with that. And the other thing I've been doing as a secondary thing is taking fuel and ammo out to the local market. And interestingly, last week, because I think I did it after I recorded that podcast, my sales didn't go through. So again, being a market and prices changing, I just reset everything up, plus all the new stuff, and a couple of them sold, but then a couple of them didn't. So again, I think I'm not monitoring it that closely. I only check it once a week to see if they sold or they didn't. So again, I'm sure prices are fluctuating and mine aren't the cheapest. But yeah, we'll just keep moving or going through that process. So definitely it's a nice secondary thing. I haven't put any calculations in place to make sure I'm earning money, but given that the sell price on the local market is higher than the sell price on the galactic market, and I'm already transporting anyways to bring back the one raw material, it seems like a win-win. So anyway, so that's my update on my journey playing Star Atlas. So go ahead and wrap up. Again, thanks for listening. Totally open to anybody who wants to be a podcast guest. Again, that could be other community members who just want to talk about the week in review. Love to do a roundtable on the weekends. Definitely open to any promotion from any Star Atlas builders or content creators. Love to chat. And of course, if any team members would like to come on and just chat about Star Atlas in general, definitely from a beginner's perspective, don't need any alpha or anything like that. Just want to create a great library for beginners who are starting out with Star Atlas. So anything that's quote unquote evergreen, if you're in the content marketing space type of thing. So anyways, please reach out at intergalacticherald.com. Just look for my contact page or under about or something like that. And then again, just a reminder, on my website, Intergalactic Herald, again, I have a lot of great Star Atlas resources, beginner's guide, lots of links to other content creators to give a great overview of the entire Star Atlas ecosystem, number of directories from other Star content creators to builders to tools to whatever I've been able to accumulate over the years. Again, you can listen to this podcast, but of course you're already doing that. There's my new podcast, or add to the podcast, which are the AI audio recaps. And then I just recently launched I have two newsletters, the weekly recap of all the articles or videos from content creators, and now the newest one, which is the Star Atlas news feed, which is the Star Atlas community team. You can get an email of any of their announcement they post on Discord, so you don't have to check that out. And finally, my two projects, my merch store at intergalacticgear.com, open for business. Please check it out if you're interested in a mug or some wall art. Going to hopefully put more stuff up someday. And I do have a merch survey. And then again, still love to create a Star Atlas gamer community for gamers who don't want to join Star Atlas guilds. You can check that out and fill out the interest survey at intergalacticcoalition.com. And that pretty well wraps it up. Hope you had a great week in review of Star Atlas, and I hope you have a great week ahead. This is Matt with the Intergalactic Herald.